We are recording vocals, and here is our basic plot points. We're gonna edit the fuck out of this. Maybe we won't. We probably will. Oh, okay. Get our video going. I think. So if I record like this, there's like a drums front and center, and there's these fucking things. There's no sense. It's honestly not as cool. I think this one looks better for now. Alright, let's see. Record. Alright, editing the shit out of that too. Oof, it's hot. Alright. I don't want to start with okay, so, but I want to make a short film. I want everybody watching, everybody in the comment section to help me make this short film. I don't have a whole idea of what I'm doing. I essentially want to post the idea, the story, my character ideas. I want to talk about setting designs, the costumes, the lighting, the cinematography, the music and score. I want to have conversations about other films as they come out. I want to rate those. I want to talk about, what they have done in those same topics. Brain freeze. That's awesome. I got to work through that. So, there it is next. See, I need to pay attention to what I wrote down the first time. I want to review new films that come out and talk about what worked and what didn't for these films as well. See, I already worded that shit. That's stupid. Pay attention to the script, boy. So, I have no experience doing this outside of my own short videos I've made repairing guitars. Now, I've made a few videos. I'm probably going to put a few clips here and maybe another one here, just so that y'all could see what I'm talking about. I learned a little bit about editing, a little bit about lighting, and staging and whatnot. I actually got this awesome book called How to Make Video That Doesn't Suck. Good video, great video. I donate plasma a lot. I was reading it while I donated plasma. And when I left, they wrapped me up, got me all bandaged up and tourniqueted it up. And as I walked out the door, I realized they didn't do that great of a job, and my book was filled with blood. Which kind of is super metal, but I had to pay for the book because I got it from the library. I had to get re-bandaged up and everything and cleaned up, and they treated me like I was a wound patient. I suppose I was. But anyway, still have that book. Seeing how I can't get rid of it. Still smells like iron, like pennies. I repair guitars, build guitars. That's one of my biggest things that I do. I do that for money. Glim Feather Repair. Shameless plug. I also make music. I write stories. I storyboard. I've written over 15 different comics that haven't really ever gotten past the 5th issue, maybe the 6th issue, before me and whoever I'm working with or myself kind of peter out. I can't ever seem to convince myself that it's worth putting more effort into it than that, and it sort of just leaves 1,000 projects in the wake of 1,000 new projects, and I'm trying to be more focused and try to use everything that I've been learning and all the different 1,000 ADHD versions of hobbies that I have, and direct them all and focus them all into one coherent thing, which is this short film. I've taken art classes since I was 10, all throughout college, and the entire time in between. I've made pretty much every kind of art that you can think of in one form or fashion. Sometimes awesome, sometimes not awesome. I've definitely had more success in pen and ink than I did with clay, for example. Whenever I realized I wanted to sort of go into a video direction, I started to come up with the bones of this story that I'm going to probably tell y'all all about in this podcast. And I knew I had to learn how to carve wood. I needed to learn how to sew to make the costumes. I needed to learn how to actually use a camera to tell a story. It's been a journey. And all of these things that I just said, I've just barely learned. And luckily I have a foundation of all sorts of other crafts and, artsy things to rely on. But most of the stuff, wood carving, sewing, it's out of my wheelhouse. Maybe not so much the wood carving. Using the tools was different. I didn't ever take shop. I took art. So that was fun to learn. It's still fun to learn. All of these things I'm still learning, of course. In the short film that I want to make, I basically want to combine all of my love for art, my love of film, my obsession with music. I kind of want to weave my own personal stories into characters I make up. to retell crazy events that I'm familiar with, that I'm intimate with. You know, personal tragedy, personal triumph, all the dumb bullshit lessons you learn on the way, or maybe not something that deep. Maybe just more like a snapshot of one of those moments, stuck on a character that I think would be interesting to go through that, and then come up with different scenarios for the character to get out of that, or to get to a specific goal, or to go through. Or I think I just described creative writing. Okay, so that's awesome. I think we should talk a little bit about the story. So this initial story, I'm not 100% on any of these things, but the basic idea that's floating in my head versus where it ends up, who knows? But it starts off with aerial shot of a huge amount of forest, a small winding like path through it, not really a road, but more of like a dirt path. And towards the edge of the woods, there's a clearing, and in that clearing is a very small like shack, a fire burning outside, a pretty decent little fire. There's some food cooking on the fire, and off to the side, using the firelight, but also using the fading sunlight, is a woodcarver. He's actually a mask maker, and he is in the middle of making a mask that, if you're actually watching, that's the beginning of it right there. You might recognize it. That one, at least. That's the idea for the short film, was sort of to pay homage to one of the coolest masks that I know of in pop culture. But I don't know about licensing, or if I'm even allowed to do that, or if I need to like change it some. There's a lot of options there. He's there. He's cutting on this mask, and it sort of shows the fire. It shows from a distance someone carving on the mask, and then it slowly zooms into the mask and into the chisel, into him slowly beating it through. And then as it zooms out, you see that he's dressed like a 1600s Japanese workman, like tradesman. He has the short kimono with bandages wrapped up on his forearms to keep his sleeves tied away. He has the weird bandana thing that I can't think of the Japanese name for, that's the tradesman wore on his head. But then in front of that, he actually has a Tengu mask. It's the red-faced, angry mask with the long nose. Some people might recognize the mask from Demon Slayer. It's Irakudaki's face mask. I'm probably saying that wrong. Get used to that. Anyway, so pulls out, you see our main character, the mask maker. I think I'm never going to give him a name. I think he's always going to be called the mask maker. But as he is slowly peeling and layer after layer of wood away from this mask that he's making, he hears something kind of walking around in the woods just outside of the firelight. And he looks up, and he can just barely see the firelight reflecting back at him, and probably a set of eyes. And he stares and he waits to see if there's any danger, or if it's just someone looking at him and passing by. And the eyes go away, and everything goes back to normal, and he goes back to slowly knocking more wood off of this mask. And then a little bit later, like minutes, not even minutes, seconds, eyes again. And then another set of eyes. And as he's watching, the distance between the fire and these kind of do where you hold the zoom button while you run up, sort of like what they did in Jaws, to give that disorienting zoom in, zoom out kind of a feeling. And the eyes are still all you can see. It's just shadow shades, that dusk time whenever everything is blue-black. I prefer night to that because you can actually see better at night than you can at dusk. At least I can. Dusk blindness. We cut back to the mask maker, and you can tell he's scared. He's shaken by seeing these eyes again. In the background, more of on the volume setting of maybe the breeze, will be some voices. Basically, this might carry on for just a little bit more, but essentially this scene's going to fade out, and we're going to come back in the morning. We're going to have a table full of the masks that he's made. He's going to be getting a large pack full of all these masks because he's going to be going into town to sell what he can to make some money, to feed himself. He's just basically a lone hermit, lives in a shack out in the woods and makes masks for the town that he's close to. On the trip to the town, there's going to be more inferences of something in the woods, something supernatural in the woods. I'm not really sure exactly how I'm going to have that go, but as he's walking, it's just going to be it's not going to be like a super long scene. It's going to be just a few clips of him walking through, but I'm going to draw it out where it needs to be drawn out, where to keep the mood going, that it's a creepy, what's going on, how come there's no discernible actual antagonist yet. It's just glimpses of eyes, whispers of voices, general eerie feeling, raise the hair on your arms. He has, it's almost like he's just accepted this. Every time he looks up, he just looks back down, sighs, and goes back to what he was doing. So when he gets to town, he tries to sell what he can, and there's a few friends that he has there, and they're basically just people that have known him most of his life, that have concern for him, that only want the best for him, but they can tell there's something off and there's something wrong. He doesn't talk like he used to. He doesn't hardly talk at all anymore. He basically sets up shop, has signs and prices for everything, doesn't negotiate, doesn't talk much. He spends his money immediately on the groceries that he needs and walks back to his little shack on the outside of town. I'm going to develop the character a little bit more by, maybe having some eavesdrop conversations between some of the town folk as he walks by, glances. Nothing like to where anybody thinks he's like a pariah or anything. Just everyone knows that he's a little different, a little off, not necessarily part of the in crowd society that they all have around them. He's actually going to have somewhat of a relationship with a fruit vendor, the farmer that sells one of his favorite fruits that he likes to eat. And it's not going to be like a relationship, just one of the only people that he actually can trust and enjoy talking to and enjoy having a longer than 5 minute situation with. Now, this character is I'm trying to use to explore what happened with my little brother. My little brother, I don't know how it contracted, ended up with. It developed into schizophrenia. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia whenever he was 21. The mask maker essentially represents him. I'm throwing other character traits of other people I've known in there too, but that's essentially him. And what I had to watch him go through whenever he was diagnosed until the tragic end of his story, which y'all can guess from, and we don't have to go too far into from there, but he almost went on a mental epic journey, and it started off really, really slow and ended up being really chaotic and huge. And I think it has a whole story just in the trip his mind went on that we all had to go on with him. So that's the main part of the main story as far as I have it in my head, more or less. I have more, but that's the opening scenes, two scenes maybe. Not the first act complete at all. That's just the first two opening scenes. So I also have another character, the actual antagonist, and I think I'm going to have this character set more in the 20th century, more 70s or 80s. Maybe nowadays, depends on how easy I want to make it on myself. But essentially, the main antagonist is actually going to be a gun. The gun's going to have a vibe kind of like the One Ring, Lord of the Rings. Its presence influences people, cursed object style, and it's called the Suicider gun. And I call whoever's using it the Suicider. Probably going to change that, but that's the name for right now. It's a great placeholder because I know exactly who it is when I say it. Probably going to change the name for who knows. I might not even be able to post this because of that name, because of the way I always see people say unalive themselves, stuff like that on various platforms. So I might need to change that or bleep it, maybe. It's the unalive word with ER at the end of it, in case I do have to bleep anything and y'all need to know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll just call him Cider for now. How about that? Like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to have to. But if I do, that's what I'll do. But what I'm thinking about is slowly connecting the two characters until eventually the film ends with their connections, their two stories crossing ways in an epic, crazy way that leaves everything to interpretation at the end of it. I really, really like stories where everybody dies at the end. Uh, I liked Rogue One. Apparently, nobody else did. I did. I thought it was great. Everybody died at the end. It made me so happy. I love putting all that effort and time into characters just for them all to be ripped away in a way that I wasn't expecting. Fantastic. I don't know. Everybody else, whatever. So, Cider, this gun, it essentially, let's say it's like a magic item. So, whoever has this gun, it influences them to be more and more and more depressed, to only see the pessimistic side of life, to always be more and more and more depressed and into their own head and into their own self. Whenever it finally brings whatever poor soul it is to that point, and they see the gun and they decide to use it on themselves, whatever it is that they're wishing for or hoping for, or whatever, I wish I could be with my husband, or I wish I, could finally do that, or if I would have never done this, or whatever the regret is. When you pull the trigger, instead of it being the end, it transports you to wherever that idea is. So I think one of the first representations is going to be a widow crying over her husband. She boom, and she wakes up in the coffin next to her husband. Ha ha, what a twist. That's the antagonist, but I think for this film, I think I'm going to use one or two main characters. Am I getting too deep for a short film? See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know. I might have to make two different things. This idea might have to be completely different, but essentially the idea is the mask maker is going to make the gun, and the person who's using the gun is going to wish that they could go back to the time that the gun was made, and then somehow that's going to bring them two into conflict. Don't know how yet. And that's going to be the big epic finale of them coming together in some sort of conflict, and then everybody dying at the end. Should I tell you all the plot ending? Should I not? If y'all say no, we'll say there's a different ending, and then I'll probably still do that ending, but like swear that's not what I'm going to do. I don't know. Telling you all of this seems like stupid. I have no idea. I think that's covering everything that I wrote down that I wanted to talk about. I have been making props. I have been sewing. Like the first thing I sewed was a kimono for the mask maker. Turned out okay. Honestly, I'm going to make another one. Might not stick with the Japanese idea. Honestly, I was making different masks, came across the Japanese old school masks and the no masks and the no theater masks, and I thought they were awesome. And the most recognizable one was a Tengu mask and then a Kitsune mask, and I made both of those. I'll put in pictures here and here. They look pretty good. Also, because I was sewing, had the red cloth from the kimono, making masks, I made Spider-Man masks. Here's another Spider-Man mask. Made a Venom mask, or more of a black suit Spider-Man mask. I made a Deadpool mask. I made a Doctor Doom mask. Bit of a mask maker. A lot of these are going to be used like on the table. I'm going to make all of these look more old school, handmade, wooden, and less like new school spandex and metal. And just have them like cameo little, oh, look, that's actually a Deadpool mask. Kind of like the way they did Mario and a few other guys on the mask maker from Zelda. On his pack, there's, if you like look, there's different little Easter eggs. I thought those are awesome. Might as well it's an easy way to throw that little bit of fan service into this. And I don't know how long I've been talking, but this seems like a decent amount. Let's see. Yeah, 20 minutes, 21 minutes right now. I'm going to edit it probably down to maybe 15 to 18 minutes if I don't cut any big parts. Pretty much going to do an editing. That's another thing. Is my editing any good? Is my camera placement any good? How's my lighting? Probably not the best. I'm actually using a really bright 3-piece light diffused off of my metal roof of the shed. Now the shed has a metal roof, but it has like a whole bunch of stuff in here, as you can see, a bunch of blankets and things hanging around, and like plywood walls, a lot of sound absorption. Aside from bugs and the chickens that actually live probably 50 feet that way, I think it's going to be pretty decent soundproofing. For this, at least. Maybe not. I think the microphone is pretty decent. I think from what I heard earlier. Maybe not. All of these things I'm going to work with and figure out as we progress. I'm going to try to make a video at least every week, maybe more than that, as I come up with ideas and figure stuff out and come up with different parts or art or anything. Make another 20-minute video. It's not that hard, I say before I edit. Other than that, let me know what y'all think. What y'all think of the story. Let me know what y'all think of my characters and the story so far. I'm going to talk more about what's going to happen next in the story in the next episode. I have probably the next 4 or 5 major scenes figured out. What happens in between, how they connect, I kind of just have the basic vague idea. Writing most of it down, headcanoning it for a lot of it. And then that was another reason to start doing this, to focus more, to get it more into an actual coherent story. And then also, one of my biggest things is when I do this short film, I know exactly how I want the person to act. Should I do it myself? I don't really want to. I don't. My build, my stature doesn't really fit the way I want the character to look. I want him to look more like my little brother did, who was tall and slender. I think I have a picture of him here. He should have a mohawk and a hoodie and glasses. That's who the mask maker's based on. Now, you're never going to see his face, and one of the main reasons I did that at first was so that I could be him, but the whole long-haired metal hippie look ain't what I want for the guy, so now I got to figure out if I want to even go forward with this with some other actor, because I really would kind of want their input from the beginning. My son kind of fits it really well, but I don't know if he's interested. I don't know that he wants to do anything like this at all. It's not really his wheelhouse, but you never know. All right, well, I'm going to finish this up for now. I think after I edit it, I'm going to go ahead and post it. Maybe today, maybe in the morning. It is Thursday right now, so Thursday the 16th of July, 2026, 4:30 p.m. I'll edit it and then probably post another quick video saying how long it took me to edit, or maybe I'll just talk about it in the next one. But at least I got a little vocal timestamp, visual timestamp. I might try moving my ideas more like directly behind the camera, so that it looks like I'm talking to the camera the whole time. But with the podcast, I kind of felt like I could have it over. I don't know. It's all in the air. Who the fuck knows? Beep 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 beep.